So Mark, we were just in a presentation where you were talking about how engaged you are with Twitter and how important it is to your business as CEO of Viigo. Could you talk a little bit more about, maybe a bit about the journey for you personally and how you use it day to day and what difference it makes to you and your company?
So I was clearly skeptical in the beginning about Twitter in particular. And it was largely driven, I think, by the misconception that Twitter was about, people telling other people what they were doing at any one moment in time. And that, to me, that really wasn't of much interest. But when I engaged for the first time on Twitter, I discovered that there were much deeper conversations going on. There were content-rich conversations going on. And if you could identify, key thought leaders in various spaces and follow not only what they were contributing to the dialogue directly, but the kinds of information that they were finding and then bringing, to the dialogue, that you learned a great deal from it. So that was sort of one axis of the revelation. The other axis was people were already talking about things like Viigo online. And if we weren't there to participate in that conversation, we were missing half of what was being said, if not a great deal now, because that's a large proportion of the conversations that go on now are sort of social media based. But we had no way of wading in and telling our side of the story, or even being able to come back and say, that was a really good point, let's work on that, and come back with a cure that ultimately are one of the elements of driving a great community.
Now, a lot of CEOs, I think, and a lot of people within companies would make the argument, look, you're just creating a platform where people can say all sorts of negative stuff about you. Why would you want to do that?
People are already going to say the negative stuff. I mean, do you want to have that conversation happen without your knowledge and your ability to engage, or do you want to be able to engage? I think that, as I said in the presentation, it can be very raw sometimes. I mean, some people are quite passionate on Twitter in their beliefs, and those passions can run to the positive and they can run to the negative. But many of the people that have an opinion really just want to be heard. And I think if you engage those individuals and you listen to what they have to say, and you do so honestly and truthfully, and you try to cure whatever issue it is they have, you can often turn them into your biggest proponents. So I think not engaging in many respects is more dangerous than engaging.
Now, you're saying in the presentation that you have 6 screens running on your desk, and one of them contains Tweetdeck, which is an application that has columns of different, your replies and stuff. Yeah. So can you sort of walk through that, because it was very interesting how you make use of that?
So I'm not unusual. I mean, many of the guys in the office, because we're a development shop, are handling multiple screens and doing sort of many things at once. We sort of have institutionalized ADHD, perhaps. But so Tweetdeck is really interesting because I can monitor a number of streams of conversation concurrently. One of the problems with Twitter, of course, is that massive amounts of information flow by you every second. And what we do with Tweetdeck is we begin to segment those conversations. So I can look at not only what my friends are currently saying, I can look at all of the direct messages to me that rise up in importance. I can look at any replies to me, kept separate from the stream. So if I am away for a while, I can come back, I can see a distilled list. But more important even than that, we track every mention of Viigo that's conversational. We track all of the ways in which people are using Viigo to tweet themselves, because we have a capability within the app for people to take a story of interest and immediately tweet it with a single click. We track what our competitors are saying on Viigo, and we even track what they're doing more broadly. And we track various trending topics of interest that we believe are, going to influence our business in one way or another. They could be opportunistic. In other words, they could be ideas that we are considering for inclusion into the app going forward, and we want to sort of understand what people's likes, dislikes, needs, wants, aspirations, and so on are. Or they could be, areas where we believe perhaps we're a little weak competitively, and we want to understand something more about what's happening in terms of best in class. So we use that quite actively.
And what difference has it made to the business?
We've always had very much of sort of a social strategy to our business development efforts, even at the beginning if we didn't think of those things as social strategies. So we worked a lot with bloggers and other sorts of relationships. I think, as I said in the presentation, we tried to stand on the shoulders of others to tell our story. But as we began to institutionalize social media, we discovered that we were increasing the amount of sort of serendipitous subscriber expansion that was happening. So not direct efforts by our partners, but people stumbling across Viigo through friend referrals and the like. And in many respects, we now track those referrals, and they are making up a material part of our subscriber growth. So, tens of thousands of people a month are coming either from direct friend referrals, or they're coming from the social media influence, the people that are listening to the people that are saying a lot of really good things about Viigo. So, one of the things that we're able to do is we watch throughout the day what people are saying about Viigo, the product, and people are quite effusive sometimes. And those comments are being listened to by their followers, who are going, well, what's a Viigo, and where do I get it from? And so I would say that increasingly social media is becoming one of the key elements of our kind of subscriber growth.
Cool. And one final question. One of the things that you mentioned that I thought was very interesting was that people don't engage with companies, they engage with people. So you're using Twitter as a way of putting a human face on your company, right? Mm-hmm.
So we do have a Viigo account on Twitter, and we use that more for corporate type bulletins. And we use it as a catch-all because people will sort of often do a search to see if Viigo has a presence, and they'll often stumble across that first. However, many of the management team, and in fact many of the key customer-facing individuals in the company, have their own Twitter accounts. We all declare in our profiles that we work for Viigo, and in many respects, some of the highest engagement happens with those person-to-person accounts as opposed to with the person-to-corporate account. And we each bring our own personality to bear a little bit. We each bring our own subject area, of expertise, and people sort of coalesce around the different individuals in the company based on their interests and the like. And in a way that allows us to cast a bigger shadow over Twitter than just simply having a Viigo corporate account from which all of the the content and communication must happen. And ultimately, I think that's just a throwback to what has been a truth, since the beginning of time, that people really do business with people. They don't do business with corporations. Right.
And you've managed to sort of thread that human interaction just through the course of your day, right? You're saying it's not a lot of overhead for you to do that.
No. I mean, I am able to interact with my Twitter stream when I'm mobile. I do so within Viigo. I'm able to interact with it on one of the screens while I'm at the office. I'll cast an eye over it every once in a while. I have various searches put up that distill to the top the most critical things of information that I'm going to want to engage with quickly. But I also have a lot of confidence that if I miss something, one of the other members of the team is going to be able to pick it up. And so it doesn't take a lot of time. It is. I think it's very important, even from my position as the CEO, to be plugged into what the community of people that are our customers are thinking and saying, not only to understand what the threat assessment needs to be around things that have gone bump in the night, but also to look opportunistically at things that people want that might help us define a better strategy going forward to build a better product that's inherently much more appealing, to understand where the rough edges are in the product as we sort of look at making the various trade-offs between where we focus our efforts. Often the social space will allow us to get a very quick sense of where the hot buttons are, where the key areas of concern are for users, and that allows us to escalate stuff right away, to get the greatest impact for the resources we have.
Excellent. Thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure.